Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satan and Coffee. I hope everyone's doing all right. So this seems to be kind of like these are going to be the days that we're going to be sticking to it. So it seems like the last couple of weeks we've been doing pretty solid on Wednesdays and Fridays. I haven't really overslept, so that is a good thing. I hope everyone's doing wonderful this morning. The title of today's episode is The Lie You Agreed To. And what we're going to be talking about inside of this today is Belial, of all things, as the destroyer of false authority. What we're going to be looking at today. And disciple, I am well. I'm well. I hope you are doing well yourself. So I hope you all have your coffee ready, because we're going to get into it. So for those that have been watching me for a while, you all know that I've done very little work with Belial over the years. I suppose like there's one solid ritual that I've done not that long ago, probably about a year ago now. But Belial being the second pillar of the Infernal Compass, I thought it pertinent to dedicate a few episodes to why Belial is the second pillar of the Infernal Compass. So, to kind of open up, right, we're all born free, right? We're all born with kind of like this mindset of being, able to do or be anything. But we're inevitably baptized in obedience. We're told to be good, be quiet, follow the rules, right, that we never agreed to begin with, right? And we did it. We did that, right? We did that every day. Because what do we want to be? We want to be good people. And to be good people, we generally have this idea that we need to obey. We need to follow the rules. Question is, who made the rules? Who put the leash around our necks? And more importantly, why haven't we chewed through it? Right? So, Belial is mentioned to be, I have this notated 1 second, because I want to make sure that I get the source right. So, biblically speaking, Belial is the embodiment of lawlessness used in the Old Testament as a slur for those who rebel against divine order. Also, translating over to worthless, but not because Belial lacks worth. He is worthless to those who demand submission. Right? And again, the embodiment of lawlessness in the Old Testament. Modern LHP interpretation for Belial is the adversary of imposed control, the breaker of change, and the embodiment of sovereignty unpermitted. Belial is the rebel shadow, not the edgy teenager flipping off authority, but the primal force in you that knows when something is wrong and dares to act on it. That's the big part, right? Dares to act on the things that we sit there and say, okay, well, there's something fucked up here. There's something weird here. There's something that this doesn't make sense. This isn't okay. And it's one thing to say something, and then it's another thing to do something, right? Now, The shadow's often buried under the persona, the mask of who we think we're supposed to be. And this is deep rooted in the Jungian psychology, this aspect of things. We all wear a mask of who we think we should be. And most of us wear multiple masks depending on who it is that, we're around, we're talking to, we're spending time with. We have a tendency of acting different around different people because we have this idea or of what the expectation is for us to be acting a certain way, right? So, what Belial does is Belial helps you break out of that mask, all of the masks, and allows you to be yourself. That it's okay to be yourself, to be who you are. And for those that don't like who you are, those are people you don't want in your life to begin with. Right? Authority is often inherited, not earned, and we swallow it before we even know who we are. There's childhood conditioning, religious indoctrination, social and school conditioning, and then the adult result, right? So if we go into childhood conditioning, respect your elders, don't talk back, God is watching, the damage is being taught, fear over curiosity, compliance over conviction. And that is something that's a rolling theme with most societies. The way that they treat children is this idea of children should be seen, not heard type of thing. Religious indoctrination, the original sin. You were wrong before you were even born. Salvation, you must submit to be redeemed. You need to be on your knees to be saved. The spiritual gaslighting that breeds self-loathing obedience. We end up hating ourselves for who we become because we're fed this shit all the time. Good morning, Maeve. Welcome. I started on time today. Well, at least the intro did. Hail, brother. So these are the two big ones that kind of fall in, right? These are the things that kind of happen. Like, so you've got the childhood conditioning, you've got the religious indoctrination, right? Then the social and school conditioning, grading systems, silence in the classroom, punishment for nonconformity, performance over authenticity, metrics over meaning. It's a consistent, nonstop thing, right? From the moment that we're born, we're put into this process, right? And it's very dystopian if you think about it. Like, I mean, what benefit do we as individuals get out of a system that is built like this? I mean, they're building workers, right? I mean, essentially that's what's happening, right? So again, I'll go over this again before we get to the adult result. Childhood conditioning: respect your elders, don't talk back, God is watching. Damage of being taught, fear over curiosity, compliance over conviction, original sin, you were wrong before you were born, salvation, you must submit to be redeemed, gaslighting that breeds self-loathing, obedience. We get into social situations and school conditioning, grading systems, silence in classrooms, punishment for nonconformity, performance over authenticity, metrics over meaning. And then if we that's more the school side. If we look at the social side of it, the social side plays along with that. At least, I mean, I remember, I don't know if schools have changed, but I remember like when I was in school, and I've brought this, topic up a lot, but, when it came to fashion, when it came to clothing, if you didn't dress a certain way or wear a certain brand in school, you were targeted, right? Because whether your family couldn't afford whatever brand it was that was popular at the time, or you didn't like it or whatever, you were still targeted. You were targeted because you didn't fit in, right? It's all about fitting in, And then the adult result, you've built a life that's not yours. You work a job you hate. You parent like your parents did. You worship a God you've never spoken to. You're living in a prison built by others, but maintained by you. And that, no Nike, you're a loser, right? Exactly. I remember that. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. Like you could still have good shoes. You could have like Pumas, you could have Adidas or something like that. But like you weren't rocking like Nikes. Like it's like, what? You know? Yeah, that was a thing. Nikes were all the rage in the early 2000s. But, and that's the breakdown. That's what happens. And that's what we do. We live in a prison that's built by someone else, but we maintain that shit by going through the motions and doing the life thing exactly how they say that you need to do the life thing. We're maintaining the very prison that we live in without realizing it. Like we work and work and work and work and save money and buy the house and buy the car and buy the stereo and buy the computer, buy the clothes, you know, whatever, all in an attempt to build ourselves a ladder outside of the prison, and we're only digging ourselves deeper in the hole. You know, you work a job you hate to have somebody else's dreams come true. And this, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying like you shouldn't work, right? I'm saying I think that there's value in work, right? I think that there's a lot that you can get out of it. I think, you know, there's satisfaction in working and earning a paycheck, but there's more satisfaction in building something and taking that thing you built to different levels, to different heights. It's all worse in a social media age. Oh yeah, it's 100% worse. I mean, I want to be honest. At least like back in like the early 2000s, the late 90s, we knew what the fuck was popular. Now it's like nobody can make up their fucking mind, right? Like, I mean, fashion is like the most like redonkulous fucking thing like I've ever had the displeasure of watching happen on live television. You know, like, I mean, some of the fucking designs that these jackoffs come up with is just like fucking ridiculous. And it's considered high fashion. Like, I mean, you get people like, I mean, how people are not laughing at this shit. Like, I mean, wearing inflated garbage bags, Balenciaga making a fucking bracelet out of packing tape is $1,000. Like, it's an actual fucking thing. There's a bracelet that is a roll of packing tape that only has on the inside the logo for Balenciaga. It's $1,000. And there's idiots buying this shit. Like, huh? Like, I wish I wish this shit was a joke. Like, I wish it was a fucking troll or something. But no, it's a thing. Like, it's just absolutely fucking, like, it blows my fucking mind. Right? Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna look this up. Hold on a second. I need to look this up. Let's see here. I need to see if it's still a thing because I was shocked when I first saw it. Right? I mean, I can't believe that this is a thing. They have it for sale on eBay. Do they? No, they don't have the tape bracelet. Like, I mean, I really want to find this thing. Like, I'm looking for it. Yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to find it. I mean, there's images of this fucking thing, right? And it's just a roll of packing tape. This says Balenciaga inside of it. And I just, you've got to be kidding me, right? Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I can't find. I remember seeing the price of it somewhere, like on Balenciaga's website or something like that. It was like $1,000. It's a fucking roll of packing tape, man. You know, I don't think anything could be worse than the fucking clothing that they made for the Hunger Games. I mean, interesting, yes, but worse. I mean, I think that that's like the general direction that high fashion is going. I mean, that's what the difference between like normal fashion, like retail fashion, and then high fashion, right? Because those are the two primary sectors. You have retail fashion, which I mean, at the time back in the '90s, early 2000s, Janko, Kickwear, Trip, those were all retail fashion. Now the thing is like you can't really get Trip, Kickwear, or Janko like in retail stores, and they've specifically designed it that way. Because here's the thing, I remember the 40-inch mammoths from Janko back in like the late '90s, early 2000s was like an $80 pair of jeans, $100 depending where you went. Like if you went to J.C. Penney, it was like $100. If you went to like fucking Kmart, yeah, they used to sell them at Kmart. It was like 80. But those same jeans today, new, direct from Janko, are like $260. Like, I mean, they're trying to position themselves as like high end retail fashion, right? Is what they're trying to do. It's fucking crazy. But this is what I'm talking about. This is what we fall into, right? This is the pattern that we fall into. The fact that we all know this, the fact that we know, opulence at its finest, right? The fact that we know Janko, the fact that we know, Kickwear and Trip, and we know the differences between high fashion and retail fashion, and all of this stuff. I mean, technically, I mean, I'm guilty of it. Like the fucking beanie I'm wearing, right, came from Killstar. Killstar has definitely positioned itself as like high end goth fashion, right? And same thing with the shirt that I'm wearing, right? I'm wearing what, a $45 shirt and a $50 beanie. So I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. But the fact that it exists, it's almost like saying, like, I mean, the thing is me being an occultist and a goth, like there's that mentality still exists. It's like, what? Well, you have to wear the Killstar. Oh, well, you have to wear the Trip. You have to have the rings. You have to, whatever, in order to fit into this box that you want to fit into, you need this, that, and that, and the next thing. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It really is. So these are all invisible contracts that we signed in life, right? Sorry, I need to trim my beard. I'm starting to get like, my nose is getting tickled by my mustache. These are all invisible contracts that we've signed. Every single one of these, from childhood to accepting the fact that, children don't talk back, God is watching you, respect your elders, and then the fact that we raise our own children the same way, right? We perpetuate the pattern, right? The whole original sin concept. I mean, thankfully, as occultists, most of us have kind of fallen out of like the religious indoctrination aspect of things. But I mean, that's just one aspect of everything that we've dealt with. And, it kind of keeps, it keeps perpetuating because of us, right? So these are all invisible contracts that we've signed throughout our lives. Where in your life are you still saying yes without ever being asked the question. That's so important. How many times have you just kind of fallen in line and done things the way that you think that things are supposed to be done, essentially saying, yes, I will do this, without ever being actually asked if this is something that you want to do, right? Like getting a job. Do you want to get a job? Nobody's ever actually asked you that question. You just kind of say, okay, I need a job. I need money, right? Because if I'm going to buy the clothes, if I'm going to buy the electronics, if I'm going to buy the phone, and that's another thing, right? Like phones used to be something that came out like what, once every 2-3 years, like there'd be a new phone that came out. And then like with iPhone started doing like this yearly thing, these micro updates every year. And then it's like, I remember it was a fashion statement, because the thing is like people that had iPhones generally didn't have cases on their phone because they wanted to make sure that you could see that little, where is it? There it is. That little Apple logo on the back of the phone. Like people wanted to make sure that like when they're talking on the phone, you saw that logo, because Apple was no longer about convenience and tech. It's a status symbol. Like your phone became a status symbol, what phone you were using. I mean, it happened before that, like, right? If you worked business, right? Like inevitably you had a BlackBerry, right? And these are all little boxes that we're put into. We just kind of accept this shit and just kind of roll with it, right? And then the prices of phones. Fuck, I mean, a high-end phone back in the early 2000s, like even the iPhone, if I remember correctly, like the first iPhone that came out was only $300. You know, that was high end, right? Now, right, it's over $1,000 for a phone. It's like 10 times as much money in less than 20 years. We were talking 2007 is when the first iPhone came out, right? We're going into 2026. We're halfway through 2025. So we're saying less than 10 years, less than a decade, right? Less than 20 years, sorry. Yeah, less than 20 years. We're talking 13, no. Yeah, less than 20 years. Fucking phones have gone up 10 times as much. They're 10 times more expensive than they used to be, more than that. About 15 times more expensive. It's fucking ridiculous. So, what have you obeyed to that you never consented to? There's a question that we kind of need to ask ourselves. What are we obeying that nobody ever actually asked us if this is something that we wanted, you know, to do, right? Relationship, staying in a toxic dynamic because you should, right? Like the whole, you know, you get married thing, you have kids, you stay in that relationship no matter how fucking toxic it is, no matter how bad it is, you stay in that situation because like you're supposed to, right? Family upholding values that were never yours, right? You know, religion bowing to gods who never spoke to you, career working to survive, not to self-actualize, not to actually achieve, not to be more. Right? It's insane. It's insane. And so the whole idea with Belial, working with Belial in this sense, with all of these things that we're talking about, Belial is definitely the most drastic and violent change that you can go through if you want to switch up your life, if you really want to open up your life. If you go to Belial and you're like, hey, I need change, Belial essentially comes in like, hey, hold my beer. Buckle up, right? If you are in a shitty relationship with a gaslighter, get out. Be true to yourself. 100%. 100%, maybe. It took me years to realize that. It took me years to realize that. You know, I mean, it took me years to get to the point that, like, you know, being in a shitty relationship, I'd look in the mirror and it's I was just like, who the fuck am I? Like, who the fuck am I looking at right now? You know, like this isn't me. Like, I don't know at what point, you know, who I was changed to appease someone else. And then it felt like years of my life were built around this idea just appeasing another person. And I think the thing is, it's because it's like you kind of feel like, okay, this is all I'm going to get. This is the only value that I'm worth. Like it does come down to self-worth. And I think one of the biggest things with, Belial definitely kind of has you kind of open up and look at like, hey, you're worth more if you say you're worth more. And it's not to say that, you know, necessarily that, the person you're with is lesser or whatever, but it's to say that, it's not the right space for you, right? And you need to be able to identify that it's not the right space for you and move on from it. Belial is very, very good with that. Belial is very forceful with that. Belial is very up in your face. And like I said, hold my beer, buckle up type shit, because shit is going to get crazy. And it does. It does. It does get crazy. But it's in the end of everything, when everything's said and done, it's worth it. It's totally fucking worth it. And Belial's not just about relationships. Obviously, Belial's the entirety of your life, right? Like things will start to like fall away. Things that are holding you back, things that shouldn't be there, they start to fall away. They start to fall to the wayside. They start to, people start to disappear and find ways out of your life. And, people like in situations where maybe before, they would find a reason, you'd find a reason to keep people around. They just go. A job that, has you stuck in an endless loop. You lose that job, something happens and you get fired or whatever. And, it's all kind of pointing at getting stuff done, helping you kind of move forward. And here's the thing. When this stuff starts to happen, you can either look at it as a gift, a blessing, or not. It's one of those things. And the Infernal Compass is designed with Belial as the second pillar because Lucifer is the first pillar for a reason, right? Lucifer is the first pillar because you need the guidance. You need to see the path first before you start walking, because you don't want to walk off a ledge. Belial is the second because at the point that you understand what the path is, you need to learn to start letting go of the programming. You need to start letting go of the things that you were told that you need to hold on to, right? And Belial, like I said, there's no better entity to work with to tear away the dead flesh and burn out cancerous, aspects of your life than Belial. Just is what it is, right? So what would you destroy in your life if you had no fear of consequences or failure? What would you set on fire if you knew you could walk away without guilt or punishment? Make space for discomfort. Tell them that you're worth more. Whoever it is or whatever it is in your life, tell yourself you're worth more. Right? Whatever it is that, you need to make space for, write it down. Speak it out loud. Whisper it into the void. I don't care. Right? Just manifest it. Not really. Not really. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. Right? Like when you start talking about like, Hecate and stuff like that, like, I mean, there's there's an aspect to Hecate that is similar, but I suppose each path has its own, version of what Belial is going to be, right? Because not all occultists work with demons. Most occultists, at least like, people that are just starting to get into the occult, people that are Wiccans or just general pagans, kitchen witches, whatever, still have kind of like this Christian ideal, this monotheistic Judaic, concept in their mind of what a demon is or isn't, and it's still, it's still very biblical, right? They believe in demons, but they believe demons being bad and evil. And well, again, like, I mean, we say demon, but we say demon in kind of like the modern sense, like, because it's what people understand. But what we mean, or what I mean when I say demon, is I'm talking about kind of like the ancient Greek concept of what a demon is. They're not inherently good or evil. They can be mischievous. They can be, if you're not careful, they can be aggressive, but they're not inherently good or evil. They're guides. It's what they are. So, witchcraft wrapped in Christianity is still Christianity, 100%. It's 100%. It's one of the main reasons of why I'll never understand, the concept of, people calling themselves a Christian witch. Like, it just doesn't, like, it doesn't make sense to me. And like I said, I've said this before and I keep saying it, like the whole concept of, like, well, even if Jesus wasn't a real man, like he's now an egregore. Say, fuck your egregore, dude. Like honestly, like, fuck your egregores. Like, it's an excuse to work with something that's pretend. Like that's how I look at it. Like, I mean, is there like an occult basis to it? Yeah, like, when we take our energy and put enough energy into something, then that, inherently, kind of makes something, workable. But then you're not really connecting to an entity, you're connecting to everybody else's energy. So, what the fuck? So at the end of the day, yeah, like, honestly, like, my take on it, fuck your egregores. Right? Like, stop finding excuses to work with shit that doesn't exist. Like, I'm just going to be completely honest, that's my take on it. Like, it's just irritating to me, right? Because you're not, even if this concept actually functions, where enough people believe in something and it creates something, it's operating off of everyone else's energy that has believed in something that didn't exist. Meaning that this thing that you're working with, or you're trying to work with, doesn't operate within the space of independent thought. It doesn't operate in a space where it makes its own decisions, or it's something that can be, revered and worshipped, in the traditional sense. And so therefore, like, you don't know what energy is being put into that thing, right? At least, like, with the demonic and the things that we know that exist, you have a decent idea of what the hell it is you're getting yourself into. When you start working with something, you don't know what energy's been put into something by other people. Like, I mean, so yeah, my take is just fucking stop with the egregoric shit. Like, really. Like, it's just no bueno. Yes, like, yeah, it's bad juju. Like, no, I won't do it. So, like, these people, like these Christian witches that justify working with Jesus, because, like, trying to create like this idea, it's like, oh yeah, well, like, even if you don't believe him as an actual person, he's still very egregoric. Like, fuck you, like, just honestly, fuck your egregores. Like, really, like, fuck off. right? You know, we're not born to obey these concepts, right? And we're not made to live on our knees, right? You know, when we think about our freedom, there's like a tremor in our gut every time we're told to be quiet. That's Belial. That's you. And it's time to kind of listen to yourself, right? And this is just part one of this, right? So Friday and Sunday, there's going to be a part two and a part three to this. This isn't all we're going to be talking about. There's a lot more to kind of dig into. And just to kind of give you guys kind of like a little bit of a taste of what it is that we're going to be touching on part 2 and 3 here. No, no, I think Jesus is just a fucking, you know, metaphor for, you know, he's the prophet of an era, of an age, right? You know, or, you know, the procession of the year, right? You know, it's just kind of like the egregoric God concept of fucking Pisces. And I think egregores are just bullshit. Like, I think it's a cop out, right? Because you like the concept of something and you say you want to work with it, then, you know. So no, I don't believe in Jesus at all. I don't think Jesus ever actually fucking existed. You know, because here's the thing. There's plenty of like historians during the time period that existed and lived in these places where supposedly Jesus walked through and performed miracles and shit. No mention of him. No mention of Jesus. No mention of Christ. No mention of anything. There's one that was mentioned. It was found out to be falsified. The man may have existed. Rulers used his name as a way to control people. Possibly. I mean, I don't think though, like he's like a prophet or, you know, son of God, you know, shit like that. I think, you know, if anything, you know, it's like, I guess, I mean, dude was kind of like the first rock star, right? You know, like everybody fucking hated him, you know, and fucking nailed him to a tree. I don't know. But to give you guys a breakdown, we're gonna be going over on Friday and Sunday, right? So on Friday, we're doing the Holy Fire of Destruction, right? So Belial is the archetype of the psychic arsonist. Jungian's individuation process. Destruction is not chaos. The pain of unmasking, right? So these are going to be kind of like things that we're going to be tying into in part 2 and part 3, becoming the lawless king, sovereignty over obedience, right? Rebuilding the self from the ashes of defiance. So that's going to be Sunday's episode. So that's what we're going to be looking into for Friday and for Sunday. Is we're going to kind of be getting deeper into the idea and concepts of Belial and working with Belial and all that. But with that being said, that is going to be it for today. So thank you guys for coming in. You guys are fucking amazing. And as always, hail thy fucking self. I'll see you Friday, 6:30 in the morning, Mountain Standard Time. Sunday to 10 a.m. All right, you guys are fucking amazing. Catch you later.